Assalamu Alaikum everyone, welcome back to another video. I hope you're doing great. Welcome to part 3 of the ETFs that we started talking about. We've done part 1 and part 2. I've posted both of them. You can watch them if you haven't seen them yet. Part 3, that's what we're going to talk about today. There are 4 different ETFs in this part, and 3 of them are Sharia compliant by design. One of them is Sharia compliant by accidentally, is basically, let's call it, okay? So it's not Sharia compliant according to the no one has given those standards to this company, basically ETF, but of course by design basically it's not, but it became, and you know what I'm trying to say, basically it became Sharia compliant based on the stocks that it holds. But before we do that, I just want to mention a couple of things. The S&P 500 is down a lot. A lot of the companies that we own in this portfolio is actually down. The only 2 ones that are in the green today is the energy stocks. The rest, everything else is down. And again, we might be seeing rotation in the next few weeks. We might be seeing a lot of volatility in the market next few weeks. But this is where you need to start loading up on stocks. I'm not saying I'm not, financial advisor or speculating or anything like that. But this is the time I like to buy basically individual stocks. And the reason I said that is because this is when everything is on sale. Right now, things are not really on sale. Okay, these companies have been going up, I don't know, 4 or 5% each day. Broadcom, it's up, I don't know, let's click, for example, let's see for the 1 year how much is up. Basically 12%. So being down 2% today makes absolutely no difference. So you have to take that into consideration when you see a red day like this. But it is important that we, InshaAllah, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, we see a lot of volatility in the market we can take, and then we can take advantage of that. Because if you're a longer term investor, then of course you have to take advantage of these things. So overall, don't be panicking, don't be worried about anything. Just buy and hold quality businesses or ETFs, whichever you prefer. Right, before we get to the actual ETFs, I just want to mention quickly, as always, if you can join us at the Patreon account, it will be absolutely amazing. It genuinely helps the channel. You get a lot out of it. You got the Discord, you got the family portfolio update, which I'm actually currently doing, the family portfolio, as well as this portfolio here. We will be doing a whole deep dive into the portfolio, understand what I'm buying, selling, the plan forward. I'm going to tell you everything, inshallah. This is slightly different to what we used to do. Right, so what we're going to do is part 3 today. And the first ETF we're going to look at today is SPTE, or SP Funds and Global Technology. So this is a global S&P and Global Technology ETF. Currently trading $28 per share. This is not available in the UK, unfortunately. Total expense ratio 0.55 according to their website. Okay, year to date we're looking at basically almost 40% up, which is absolutely amazing. Right, let me double check this, because here we go. So it's down a little bit today, that's why it's the difference. But there you go. So year to date 36%, which is absolutely amazing. Okay, so it's down a little bit today, that's probably why. So distribution yield is 0.24. Again, this basically companies of ETFs, they pay monthly dividends. If anyone owns, I know some of the brothers on the Discord own this. Can you put it on the comment section? And maybe you don't own this, or maybe you own the other ones, SPUS or whatever. Are they monthly dividend paying company, basically ETFs? Because that would be really interesting. And then asset under management, we're looking at about 42 million right now, and they rebalance it frequently, basically quite often, which is a bit strange because normally you get quarterly, but monthly, that's not bad at all. And it's basically mainly information technology sector. Right now you can't buy in the UK, so you can't buy in through your ISA, and there are 99 stocks in there. Now in terms of weighting, we're looking at the, for example, top holdings, we're looking at Taiwan Semi 16%, Apple basically 12%, almost 13%, and Microsoft. So the top 3 make up almost 38% of the entire ETF, which is absolutely crazy. If you include Nvidia, that's like over 50%, but the top 10 is actually 70%. Okay, so the rest of the 90 stocks out there, okay, is actually basically just the 30%. So overall, the stocks that in here are really good. They are some of the best. That's why probably is basically outperformed the S&P 500, because you got some amazing companies in here that have done really well. You got basically Broadcom here. You've got Salesforce has done decent this year. Of course, we know what is in the Nvidia has done at the beginning of the year. Microsoft has not done a lot this year. I think it kind of underperformed the S&P 500. Apple has done really good, and Taiwan Semi has done really good this year. This is one of the companies that have been on my watch list for a very long time, and has been trading in the $100 per share, so on. But over the last whatever months, it's actually gone up so much. Right now we're looking at over $200 per share, and at one point a few years ago, basically when I was buying this stock, I think it was about 90, around here, 2022, I think it was around here. That's when I was buying, and then I sold it and then bought it back. So right now I do own it in the family portfolio. But overall, the ETF is really decent. I like the expense ratio. Of course, it's slightly too expensive for me anyway, and you get some dividends. It's not huge in terms of asset under management. The bigger this number is, the better, I think, because there's a lot of people invested in the ETF, so you feel kind of safe, if you like. And the fact that it's quite small, only 99 stocks in there, and the top 10 make up 70% is a bit crazy. I would have loved if this was about, like I've always said to you guys, 5%. Right, let's move on to the next one, and that is SPWO. Again, the same family owned by the way, these ETFs, you can find them in here, and they have actually made some changes to their website in the last 24 hours, because I was using it a couple of days ago and it was dark and gloomy. Right now it looks slightly brighter. They've actually brightened up the whole website. You've got all the information here. You've got all the ETFs in there. Basically, they've done some sort of they went to New York Stock Exchange, for example, the opening bell. They did it about, I think that was a few years ago, and it will be interesting to find out who owns it. There's a lot of information here that you can find out. So if you're interested in any of these ETFs and you live in the US, go and find their website. So the next one, this one is the World. So this is equivalent of the World, basically iShares World one. As you can see right now, it's $22 per share. And as you can see, we've got the semiconductor companies. Again, because it's the World, Taiwan Semiconductor will be there. But again, the expense ratio basically 0.55. Hasn't done amazingly this year. It's only up 11%. You get nice dividend over just 1%. It's monthly again. 29 million in terms of asset under management. In terms of rebalancing, you're looking at monthly, 11 different sectors in there. You cannot buy in the UK, and it's a little bit more diversified. It's got 382 basically different holdings in there, and as you can see, again, we've got 16%, and then the rest of them 2-3%, 2-1%, which is ridiculous. So I would have said reduce this one to 5% and distribute the rest, but hey, who am I anyway? But these are some really good companies. I'm not sure who this is. I don't know where that company is from. Maybe Korea. And ASML, you've got Novodesk. We know that SAP is actually one of the biggest software companies in the world. Nestle, we do know. AstraZeneca, of course. Roche is again another pharmaceutical company. PDD Holdings, we know them. Novotesk. So a lot of these companies, we know them really well. But it's just, my concern is just the fact that it's again 16%, which is ridiculous. Right, next one. I want to do this quickly because I don't want to waste a lot of time on these things, because we want to make sure that we actually get through all the ETFs out there. The next couple of videos will be based on, again, the rest of the ETFs. We haven't talked about the HSBC ones yet, and I know there've been some changes. So inshallah, I'll share that with you guys. So currently SPRE, this is the REIT one. Okay, I wish this was available in the UK, but guess what? It hasn't done absolutely nothing. Why? Because interest rates have basically been up a lot. For that reason, REITs have not done well at all. So what they're saying right now in the US is, if, for example, of course, Donald Trump has now been elected, whatever, interest rates come down, and all of these things will be basically will help, apparently, the basically REITs doing well, inshallah, in the long run. So we'll see what happens. But they have had a horrible year. They're down almost to 4%, when the S&P 500 is up about what, 26, 7, 8%. Okay, again, expense ratio very similar. Not done well at all. You get 4% in terms of dividend yield, and it's monthly, which is ridiculous. 158 basically million in the asset management. I couldn't find this, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's monthly. On their website, they don't list any of these things, so I cannot find this, so I can't verify. So I left it as a question mark. Sectors, because we know that it's the REITs, and of course, it's not available in the UK. There are only 37 individual stocks on this ETF, and as you can see here, all of them are listed here. 77% basically the top 10, but it's only 37 stocks in there. We know these companies, so we got the data center, REIT, for example. I don't know Goodman. I've never come across this one. Prologis, we know. I call them the landlord of Amazon, for example. Everywhere you see Amazon warehouse, basically this company is the owner, if you like. We know this one here. We've talked about this one here. We talked about this one. We talked about the Mid-America apartment communities and so on. Yeah, I think the rest of them we talked about. I think in terms of Sharia compliant right now as we speak, I think this is definitely Sharia compliant. This one is Sharia compliant. There are a couple, I think this one is as well. There are a few that are definitely, I'm not sure if this one is Sharia compliant still, but I think it might not be. But remember, what they're doing is basically they're using that 5% to apply to the entire thing rather than just individual stocks, basically. So overall, not bad at all. Hasn't done well. Dividend is great. So I don't know. This is not something I would be, maybe in a few years down the line, when the interest, basically the expense ratio comes down, and of course if the dividend stays the same, potentially I might look into it, but right now not interested. So these are the three that are definitely Sharia compliant. There's one more that is by design is not Sharia compliant, but because of the way it was constructed by whoever came up with it and the companies that are in there, it kind of became a Sharia compliant. And this is where you really have to take matters to your own hands and make sure that you're actually doing the job. Okay, I know a lot of brothers do own this one, and they basically on the Discord they always talk about this one, and that's PAVE, and this is the infrastructure development ETF. Okay, this is owned by this company. So if you go to Global X, you will find a lot of the information here about this ETF. So it's this one here. Now, a year to date is up 20%, which is really good. So, you know, credit to anyone who owns this. And now a lot of the brothers we were even talking about today. So it's really interesting to know that some of the brothers do own it. And just to be honest and transparent with you guys, as you can see here, this is the ETF that we're talking about. According to this website, I'm not saying it's 100%, but according to them and according to screening methodology, which is basically the AAOIFI that we normally use, they're saying it's a Sharia compliant. And when you click this link, it shows you the breakdown. So you got the business activity, less than that, like doubtful is only 0.1. When it comes to interest-bearing security, interest-bearing debt side of it, and the security side of it is very low. So the debt is slightly higher, but the security is not that bad at all. And you can look at the ETF holdings and you can see the individual stocks that are not compliant. So there are a few of them in there. A few of them are doubtful, and a few of them are Sharia compliant. So I'm assuming the of course the ones that are Sharia compliant are the ones that are not. And there's some really great companies in here, like Union Pacific, Rockwell Farm Basic Automations, and companies that I've owned in basically previously. But the top 10 here, I'm surprised why Union Pacific is not on the top 10 here. But you've got a couple of the industrial companies in here. So like Parker Hannifin Corporations have been on my buy list for a very long time, but it hasn't come down. I used to own Emerson Electric, is again another dividend king. This one I think is also dividend king. Eaton was another one that's really expensive, but it's been on my watch list for quite some time. Jay is not a Sharia compliant on his own. This one Fast is Sharia compliant on his own as well, but again 32%, very well diversified. This is what you expect from a really good ETF. Very well diversified. Okay, in terms of the weighting side of the things, that's what I mean. Of course, it's mainly focusing on a couple of sectors, so 5 different sectors, but the main ones are the industrial. So almost 75% of the ETF is based on the industrial sector. You know me, you know, like if you know me, you know that I love the industrials, okay? And I do own some of these, basically, not the ones that are listed here, but the ones that are listed on here. I do own like Union Pacific, for example, and then did own at some point Emerson Electric and so on. But there are a few other companies that are in here that are very interesting. Nucor Corporation, I think we talked about it recently. What else is in here? Let's see. Dexys Corporation is in here. So you've got a few other companies that I have seen basically around. But overall, I really like the ETF. But the issue is, again, expense ratio. However, 20% total return for that type of expense ratio. That's not bad at all in the long run. So, but the only thing is you're gonna have to keep checking manually, especially these companies. Why? Because industrials, in terms of debt levels, some of them have a very high levels of debt, so they might change very quickly, which means you're gonna have to keep up with it and keep checking the business model, keep checking the interest-bearing debt, interest-bearing securities, and things like that. But overall, I really like it. It's good. I'm not saying go away and buy it. I'm not giving you any advice. Would I buy it? Maybe. I wouldn't genuinely. I would not, say completely no to it, because if it's giving you that sort of return, that expense ratio, again, is a problem. And I like the fact that the asset under management is actually all closer to $10 billion, which is way bigger than what we've seen basically in comparison to all the ETFs that we've seen so far. Now in the US version of it, I believe you get this basically dividends of 0.5, whereas in the UK it's accumulating, which is absolutely fine. They reinvest it for you anyway. That's less headache for you. But that is the four companies, ETFs that I wanted to share with you guys today. I'm going to continue doing this inshallah next couple of days. If you're enjoying this type of content, please join us the Patreon account. Like I've always said to you guys, it really makes a huge difference inshallah in the long run. And I'm going to continue doing basically while I still have a bit more time. I'm going to try to do as many videos as I possibly can. If you're enjoying this, just do me a favor. If you don't want to do anything else and join our Patreon account, just click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let me know inshallah what other ETFs that are on your list that are Sharia compliant that you would like us to look at it inshallah in the next couple of days. Have a wonderful day. Assalamu Alaikum.